Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. I'm delighted to be joined by Punch Out Boxing's Ra Hokum, international boxing news, and not just boxing's Regan Slaymaker. Lads, thanks very much for joining me. Always good to have you on the channel. This for this reason, we're looking at the fight between Jack Catterall and Harlem Eubank, the welterweight contest on Saturday, July 5th, in Manchester. An intriguing fight, one I'm really looking forward to, and hopefully it delivers on the night as well. Not long to go now, of course, gents. It's at the time of filming, it's less than a month away. By the time this goes out, it'll probably only be a week or two away. But yeah, a big fight, big British dust up, and yeah, one I'm really looking forward to. Got a couple of talking points to discuss with both of you in the next 15 minutes or so. But yeah, I'll come to you. I'll come to you first, Regan. Thanks for coming back on. The last time we spoke on the channel, people might, yeah, the video never went out because the fight the fight got pulled for various reasons. But yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen here. But yeah, just first and foremost, your kind of thoughts when this fight was announced initially, between Jack Catterall and Harlem Eubank. Was it a surprise to you? Does it kind of, is it one that you're looking forward to? What did you make of the whole announcement for the Catterall Eubank and the fight itself?
I was quite surprised at the fight, really. I really like it, by the way. I think it's the perfect fight. What surprised me the most is that they didn't make Harlem Eubank come down to 140. They kept Jack Catterall at welterweight, which is I kind of liked that aspect of it. There's no kind of the weight issues there. Catterall's gone, no, I'll make the fight and I'll go up there. That was quite good of him. I really like the fight. I think it's the perfect fight for both, really. Catterall coming off that loss to Arnold Barboza, which, yeah, after all the momentum he was on and the rotten luck that still kind of followed him around from the first Josh Taylor fight, you'd have thought it was all just coming up for him to get that win against Barboza, then go to New York in Times Square to fight Teofimo Lopez, but he didn't get the decision. And Harlem Eubank, I mean, he this is the fight he needs, right? We've seen him fight the guys that everyone the boxing world knows, the Tyrone McKenna's, the Sean Dodds, the people kind of he should still beat, but everyone knows, and it's everyone saying it's a good win. Um, but yeah, I really like the fight. I think it's a really good main event between two fighters where, yeah, it's not a cross. I don't think it's a crossroads fight. I still think the loser could still have a lot of success in the game, but it's the winner really does kick on to a massive fight, I think. Great
Yeah,
fight.
for sure, mate. Yeah, looking forward to echo those sentiments. What about yourself, Ra? Looking forward to this one?
Yeah, good fight. I think it's probably a better fight for Harlem than Jack, just given what they've done in their careers so far and who they've fought so far. Um, I guess you could think of it as a maybe a step back for Catterall in levels. But kudos to him that him and his team obviously looked at his situation. He's not going to be someone that any top level guys are going to be willingly fighting anytime soon. So he's got to stay busy, and it's a good fight. I mean, I think quite a few question marks for both to answer in this, and yeah, it's a good fight. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. I think I suppose the timing is interesting, isn't it? Like, I mean, there's no better time to be a Eubank right now, I suppose, following the April 26th, and obviously, we'll see near to be there for Harlem, perhaps. And then yeah,
I hope so.
you look at Catterall, obviously, and he was riding the crest of a wave, and then all of a sudden, probably as a favorite, was beaten by the underdog Barbosa. So it is an interesting. You don't want to use the road. It's not really a crossroads fight, but in that sense,
Mm.
timing wise, it kind of is. So yeah, it does have intrigue for me. I do really like the fight, and I mean, if you're Jack Catterall, as I said, there's no better time to beat a Eubank. They're massive at the minute, obviously. So yeah, interesting fight, and I suppose it'll be one that Catterall, given who he has beaten, his body of work, his experience, etc. He is the favorite here. Whether or not some people maybe think that's the right thing, it's not. He's not a resounding favorite. It's even enough, but the bookies are favouring Elgato. With that in mind, going back to yourself, Ra, what do you think the keys to victory are? If you're Jamie Moore, Nigel Travis, etc., in the corner of Jack Catterall, what are you telling your man to do? How does he go about winning this fight? And then I'll come to you after, Regan, to make a case for Harlem Eubank.
I think Jack Catterall needs to do what he's always done. I think a key factor in this, though, will be the size factor. I think it's interesting that Catterall he's going straight into a welterweight fight without, well, I guess, does he see this as a tune-up? Maybe he does. But it's against a guy whose last few fights have been at welterweight. And I think also more importantly, though, the psychological factor, having again got just within touching distance of a big world title fight and to just miss out again, for it to happen again, in his subconscious, is he partly thinking now that, it's not meant to be for me and now it's just make as much money as I can. I'm inclined to think those are the two big factors, because when it comes to actual boxing ability, you'd have to say he's quite a way ahead of Harlem. I wouldn't go as far as to say levels above, but maybe one level above in terms of boxing ability. So I think those are the main factors, like how effective is he going to be at 147, making that weight for the first time. I haven't checked on BoxRec. It doesn't say that Harlem's trinket titles on the line, but I'd imagine it is. Because if Jack's toying with the idea of moving up to welterweight now for good, he'd want that, and the rankings that come with it. So yeah, for those are the two factors that I think are most significant for me. And if he's mentally and physically on point in this new weight class, I think he should win. But it's a question mark. We won't know till we see him fight.
Yeah, very, very interesting. A few great points there. What about yourself, Regan? If you're in the corner of Harlem Eubank, what are you telling him in the lead up to the fight? What are you telling him in between rounds? How do you think he goes about winning this fight?
It's a very good question. I echo a lot of what Brian was saying. I think the way I'm going to answer this question without actually answering it first, if that's all right, Paul. I think the way to beat Jack Catterall is to do what Arnold Barboza did, be a bit negative, and not throw many punches, allow him to come to you and counter him. I don't think Eubank. I don't think Harlem will do that. So I think his only way to do it is kind of do what Harlem does and be aggressive, but he can't be silly. He can't be just aggressive for aggressive sake. Otherwise, he'll get picked off by Catterall. We've seen how good of a boxer he is. I think he needs to do more of what maybe Josh Taylor done in the second fight. Because I thought that fight was razor thin. I didn't think it was a scream up Catterall getting it by any means. I know a lot of people thought had both ways, but yeah, he's got to be as aggressive as he possibly can do in the weight and put his I know he's only had a couple of fights at welterweight, but I think he's only probably two more fights at welterweight than Catterall's had there. I've not followed Harlem's career earlier. There might be a few welterweight bouts before then, but he's only had a couple more fights at championship level more than Catterall, but he's still got to use those aspects. Aggressive box correct. He's got to be. I think on it. This has got to be Harlem Eubank's career best performance by a long way to beat Jack Catterall, mainly because of the reasons Ra said. He's boxed at a far higher level. I mean, I know he didn't get the decision the night in Glasgow, but he beat the undisputed super lightweight world champion Josh Taylor, who's the best fighter of this one of the country, the home nations has produced. So, yeah, he's got to be on it, and he's got to be aggressive, and he's got to be punch perfect. I would say both offensively and aggressively, if that makes sense. I haven't really answered your question, Paul, because I think the way to beat Jack Catterall, I don't think Harlem Eubank will do, because he's never boxed like that. So it'd be pointless for him to do it for the hardest fight of his career to date.
No, it makes sense. I understand exactly what you've said. I suppose, I mean, there might be another way to beat Jack Catterall, and Harlan Eubank might have that game plan that might be able to do it. We shall see. We won't know until the night. But yeah, it is interesting. Just before, obviously, we will give our predictions and thoughts on the fight itself and how it'll play out right at the end. But just before that, I kind of want to come back and ask, obviously it's a wee bit down the line and depends on what weight class they want to fight in, etc. And certain timings, everything, I suppose, in boxing. But do you think either man, going back to yourself, Regan, do you see a world in which Catterall or Eubank wins a world title going forward? If so, who's the more likely? And what way do you see that one all playing out in the next 12 to 18 months? Say,
I think Catterall's obviously more likely, mainly through the caliber of the caliber that he's beaten. Like he's beaten some of the best names at 140. Like he beat Regis Prograis and Josh Taylor. Like those are two of the number one and the two in the division for a long, long time. And then he's also beaten so many other names. Like I know it was a faded Jorge Linares, but don't tell me Jorge Linares. It's still Jorge Linares, right? But yeah, I think. I think from who Jack Catterall's beaten, you've got to say him. I think this is the fight we find out whether Harlem Eubank can or not. But you'd have to say Catterall's more likely to still win a world title. I don't think one defeat just means like that you're not able to. Yeah, I think Catterall definitely. Eubank asked me again after July the 5th.
good answer. Good answer. What about yourself, Rod? Do you agree with Regan? Do you think of the two, Catterall's more likely just off the body of work and what we have seen, or do you think perhaps we've maybe seen the best of Catterall and there's still more to come from Eubank? What way do you see it playing out, and whether they could all either could win a world title going forward?
Yeah, Regan's right. Purely in terms of ability, Catterall has more chance. But funnily enough, I think because of the way the politics of the sport works, I think Harlem's more likely to actually get the world title opportunity. Now, that weight range, sort of 135 all the way up to 147, is one of the most talent rich in the game, but it's an absolute mess politically. We've seen again just at the weekend with what Keyshawn Davis did. The titles are all over the place. They're getting dropped. You know, the big unification fights aren't happening. There doesn't seem to be much interest in making them happen. There's all sorts of catchweight fights instead being made. Because of that, I think an opportunity could arise where a beatable champion has one of the belts, but they're more likely to want to give Harlem Eubank, say, a chance than a Jack Catterall. And I think, to be fair, I still think Harlem might be a bit better than we've seen. It's because he's been such a slow burner in his career. And obviously, there's an element of very good managing of his career by Adam Booth and co. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, and maybe starting with this fight, we'll tell come July the 5th that he's being managed in such a way so that he is well positioned and then could be that sort of good, respectable name for someone to give a voluntary shot at without being too dangerous. And it could end up being a mistake if it's a mediocre enough title holder. So yeah, I mean, I think both are a long way off being the best at either 140 or 147, but I think the politics might be maneuvered better for Harlem at some point in the next couple of years, which is surprising. They're actually the same age, but he does. I think we all perceive him as the fresher fighter as well.
That makes sense. You make a couple of good points there, Rod. Definitely. I suppose time will tell, and a lot will depend on the outcome of July 5th. So yeah, we may as well get to our predictions now. We'll come back to you first, Ra. What is your prediction for fight night? How does Catterall Eubank go? Who gets their hand raised?
I think I'm going back to those 2 points I made about whether he's psychologically really still in it. Because of that, because I don't think he is, I think Jack Catterall won't do enough to win conclusively. And maybe again, the politics of the sport favour the bigger name, even though it's not in his hometown. I think I'm going to go with a Harlem Eubank controversial split decision.
going all out, putting it on the line there. Nice one, Ra. Fair play to you. I appreciate your prediction. What about yourself, Regan? You've got a lot to live up to now with that prediction from Ra.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone probably a bit more safe to be honest. But I've got Catterall points in a competitive close fight. Might have to go a little bit of turmoil towards the back end, but I think Catterall points I think is the safe bet and one that I'm going to go for. But I don't think Harlem will disgrace himself in any way. I think it'll be a really good fight whilst the 12 is it 10 or 12 rounds whatever it is go. But I think it's going to be a really really good fight July the 5th. But Catterall to win the fight by unanimous decision.
Yeah, I'm siding the way of Catterall as well. I think. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if Eubank won. I think he did put in a career best performance against Tyrone McKenna last time. But what version of
Mhm.
Tyrone McKenna was that? So was that maybe an argument as well? But yeah, I think Catterall will bounce back, will get the victory. I just think he is better all round than Harlem Eubank. I hope I'm wrong, but I actually think it could be a bit of a stinker.
Oh, okay.
But I hope I'm wrong because obviously we don't want that to happen. We all want all the fights to deliver. But I think it could be quite a safe fight almost in terms of both men might take safe approaches and try and their game plan might be safety first. But I do think it'll be Jack Catterall that will get his hand raised at the end of the night. And then, yeah, hopefully big fights for either maybe the back end of 2025 into 2026 and for both men. I think, whoever loses can definitely still come again. They're not old by any stretch. So yeah, can definitely still come again. But yeah, I'm going with Catterall. So that's two of us in favour of Catterall, and then just yourself, Ra, with the controversial Eubank decision. So yeah, time will tell, guys. Thanks very much for joining me here. It was an absolute pleasure breaking down that fight with you. And anyone watching, please do hit the subscribe button if you're not doing so already. Follow us on social media and check out the other guys' content, of course, as well. At their respective places. And yeah, hopefully the fight delivers. Hopefully I'm wrong, and it's a good one at the Manchester Arena on the 5th of July. Regan, Ra, thanks for joining me. And I'll speak to you again
Cheers,
soon.
Paul. Cheers, Paul.
It's a pleasure.